Yo, yo, yo. So, like always, we have some audio or some issues. Most likely, all of that should be solved now. Uh, just hit and let me know if you can hear us clearly. Let's see if everyone joins in. I'll go ahead and put in the link. Hmm. How's it going, everybody? What is happening? What is happening? We got a lot of people potentially getting assassinated, or maybe not. Who knows? Let's see. Jobless claims came out. Horrible numbers didn't really make any dent anywhere, so that's okay. Uh, Let me just go ahead. I think there's two links. I just need to shut the other one. Okay, it's shut. So we're also going to be doing the FOMC live, hopefully. So let's see how that goes. You guys can tune into that. I'm just going to put the link for that as well, so you guys can join in there. Let me get a link for that. Join live for FOMC. There you go. You should have the link on there. Yep, perfect. You able to hear me clearly? Okay, maybe you are, maybe not. Let me go ahead and put the poll as well. So let's get that going as well. Then that's going to be fun. Okay, I had the poll somewhere here. So let me go see what's happening there. It's a pretty dead day. Yesterday was a bad day. We just turned all the way back down. So nothing really intense happened. You went up and then you created down because he said he needs an unconditional surrender. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. Uh, the Iranian leader did come out and say that he was not going to surrender. So let's see what happens. At the moment, I'm not really sure what's going to happen about that, but whatever it is, it's not good. Uh, yeah, so you should have the link for the FOMC. I'm going to be coming live for FOMC as well for the Fed. My take is he's going to be dovish just because of all of the stuff that's currently happening. Also because of all of the data that's currently coming out, which has been pretty solid, right? In employment numbers as of today. You saw the employment number coming in today, which was actually pretty good. All said and done, it was actually pretty good, right? So jobless claims has been improving. You're seeing unemployment rate heading lower as well. So if he doesn't cut now, I'm pretty sure he's going to start looking like he's going to be cutting very soon. Uh, I would say maybe July is still on the table. I think he might still want to stick to September, but quite possible that July is still on the table. It's not out of the ordinary to think that a July cut for the FOMC doesn't come through. So I'm going to be live for FOMC as well. You should see the link in the comments on your phone or on your mobile, whatever, or your computer, whatever you're using. So go ahead, subscribe, and then go ahead and notify yourself when I go live for FOMC. It's about 5 hours from now, so we'll be in pretty much thick of trading. Hopefully, we don't get some crazy news that comes in at that time about the Iran-Israel war or any of that happens. I'm not sure exactly how bad will it get, but at the moment, I still think it's a negotiation. I don't really think it's getting crazy. I don't think they're going to kill the dude, but let's see. What is it? Eva says, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you in. Let me just give you a quick update. About 20 minutes for market to open and 55 points up. James says, hi, James, how's it going? Nice to see you in as well. 58 points up on the NASDAQ, so that's that. The volatility index is down by 1.67%, so that's not actually moving that much. Let me see some of these stocks. Now the stocks have actually been doing anything fascinating. I looked at Reddit yesterday. Reddit went up like 14% in only trade in the first hour and then dropped all the way down to like 6% up. So that had like a 8% fall from the top. So that is something that I'm still looking at. Let's see how that turns out at this moment. Uh, Let me just go ahead and see if. Mm, Let me see. Do we have any more? Okay, Sean's in the house as well. Do regional equity sell-offs in Gulf markets offer compelling value, or are they a sign of entrenched risk? In all honesty, Gulf markets should do well. So Qatari, Saudi Arabian, the Tadawul that's there, or whatever the hell is there out there. UAE as well, Abu Dhabi, global markets that's there. There are some great companies there, but I would still stick to American companies. That's kind of better. It's a lot simpler as well. Uh, there's less royal family involvement, there's less sovereign wealth funds involvement, and it's more well run when it is American tech. So I stick to that. But do they offer compelling value? Yeah, possibly. But remember, a lot of the countries like UAE and all of them have their currency pegged to the dollar. And with the dollar index actually falling, that's actually not going to be a great sign for things to come for these companies, right? Because they're not export oriented. Like when I look at tech or any of that, I still wonder that I still know for a fact, right? Like look at Netflix, Spotify, all of them. Even some of these streaming guys, some of these digital tech companies, ad tech companies, they make a lot of money outside of America as a service. So they get a lot of money from there. And when they're bringing it in on a weaker dollar, they're able to make more money offshore. So that helps their earnings because now you're going to get estimates going up as well, which estimates again are not going up because the companies are improving. The estimates are going up purely because you're seeing some form of a re-rating because of FX headwinds, which have now become tailwinds. So you're seeing foreign exchange tailwinds come in. That's why these things are possibly looking better. But I'm not really gung ho about the fact that FX headwinds or FX tailwinds are a reason why a company's stock should go up or lower. Right. So look into that. I wouldn't say you shouldn't be investing in the Gulf, but I don't know. I stick to my lane of just sticking to American tech. So it's just simpler for me. So what do we have today? We started the live a little later than usual. I don't really have a poll going on. I don't want to keep doing polls like that, but uh, okay, there you go. We got asked a question, a poll for the day. So hold on. Let me just get a poll. Uh, Poll going so everyone can then be happy. Mm, okay, give me a few seconds. Go ahead and ask a few questions if you have any, whatever stocks you're holding, anything you're holding or you're selling. But in essence, if you guys are looking forward to FOMC, just you should see a pinned message on your screen, and that should basically tell you that the link for the FOMC meeting live. I'll most likely play the FOMC meeting as well, but I'm just going to play it in the background so you can just hear the audio and I'll react at it. I'm not going to play it in front of my screen and all of that. We're not yet those big or getting that big at least yet. So we'll keep it simple as of now. Let me just put the poll so we can get NR to keep quiet. Anyways, he's a nice guy. He's not that bad. Let me see. Mm, okay, this one's going to be fun. It's nothing to do crazily with markets in terms of at least nothing. Yeah, there you go. That's your poll there, my friend. Go ahead and answer your poll. Do whatever you have to about the poll. But yeah, I'm guessing there are more people buying the dip. Eva says, "Hi, I'm from Indonesia. Hi, I'm from Indonesia. Hi, nice to see you. I am in Indonesia as well at this moment for another few weeks, but that's about it." Okay. Oh wow. So US Steel is now no more there, right? Nippon Steel has officially closed its $14.1 billion takeover of US Steel. So, hmm. Anyways, so guys, keep in mind this is something that I wanted to let you guys know that the US equity market is closed tomorrow. The US Treasury will release its pretty much they have something called as a Treasury International Capital System. It's a report on the flows from the rest of the world into and out of US securities. So that if that's bonds, mortgage securities, treasuries, money market instruments, any of that, those come through on that data. That's going to tell us a lot because in the past 1 month we've been getting a lot of information of the fact that sovereign funds and everyone's been selling equity, everyone's been selling American dollar based treasuries as well. So the market's not going to be open tomorrow. We have a holiday tomorrow, but that is something that we should look at. It's called TICS data, TICS. It'll show all of the flows that enter in and out of US securities. And they're going to be giving us data about the tariff month, right? So you're going to know whether money had been coming in or money had been going out. And a lot of people have been saying that the money has been going out, but it would be fascinating to see if the money actually has come in at the end of the month. Because remember, the the numbers were more towards are for April, right? So in April, the first week was a bad week. So you had a lot of selling post that as well. So let's see. Now it'll be an interesting report for sure, but it'll pretty much for me be associated with the shift in global flows that have been happening against the dollar as the global reserve currency. So uh, let's see what happens. Um, yeah, so you have your poll, you have everything else that you need. So Japan's Nippon Steel has acquired US Steel. So that's a $14.1 billion investment that's gone through. So that's good, right? Basically, it's something moving on along the lines of trade, along the lines of any form of trade deals that could push and potentially happen. Mm, let me go ahead and see if there is anything else. Texas Instruments just announced plans to invest 60 plus billion to make semiconductors in America. There you go. Maybe the art of deal is working, right? Who knows? Anyways, yesterday post our live, we had the housing number that came out. Absolute shit. It cratered. So the housing market's pretty much in a freeze. There's nothing happening in housing. It's pretty dead. So not really anything happening at all. But that's not a good sign. It is something that I'm watching. Again, to be honest, for the past 2 years, the housing market has been pretty shit as well. That being said, you still look at some form of data that is showing that you could have some housing improvement if the Fed starts cutting rates. So keep a watch on that. If you do see inklings of the Fed cutting rates, it's going to eventually lead to housing sentiment improve because at the moment, no one's doing anything at a 7-8% mortgage rate. So everyone's waiting to see what's happening with the mortgage rate, if it's going to head lower, if it's going to head higher. Does the Fed cut? Does the Fed not cut? All of these daddy Powell issues that are going on, they're just going on at this moment. So, uh, anyways, so just we were actually thinking of going live during jobless claims, but the number came out so horrible that it wasn't really worth talking about. The estimates were for 246,000 jobs as jobless claims. They came in at 245,000. So they were 1,000 away from their number. Let me just put that out there for you guys. So for anyone that's joining in, you can see that real time, pretty much nothing. So I then pulled out and I said, you know what, it's not, there's no point in talking about this. Uh, Again, the reason I'm not talking about it is not because it's not important. The reason I'm not talking about it is because the data that you're currently getting is pretty much showing to you that the employment scenario in America is slowing, but it's not affecting so badly that the markets are collapsing. At least when it comes to jobless claims, unemployment, or any of that. I was expecting a greater than 250K print. Didn't happen. Great, right? I'm a bit pessimistic at times, but it didn't work out. 245K, absolutely great number, right? If initial jobless claims, like I've been saying, cross the 255, 260, 270 mark, if they happen sooner rather than later, that's going to then be a huge problem. As of now, no worries. So chill. It's pretty okay. Let's see what else is going on. So I would have been worth coming about half an hour early and talking about jobless claims, but it's just a waste of your time and my time if we're going to talk about something that's not going to move the market. The market pretty much came down about 20 points and it's recovered back. We're 62 points up. We're about 10 minutes away from opening. So we're going to go through almost for about 20-30 minutes of opening as well. So we'll go on for another maybe 30, 35, 40 minutes. And then in a few hours, we'll join back in for the FOMC. So that should actually be a lot of fun. We're going to get a few things this time. We're going to get their summary of economic projections. So summary of economic projections being what is their unemployment rate expectations, what is their GDP print expectations. So the Fed was thinking of getting employment pretty much. They've got the employment numbers pretty correct, but the issue that's happened for them is on the GDP data because of the tariff effect, right? So because of the GDP data, you're looking at negative GDP in the first quarter, and that was not what the Fed was looking at. So what I'm seeing is that the Fed has to reduce its GDP estimates. Now, if they're reducing their GDP estimates, they also got to reduce their inflation estimates because the inflation's been falling, right? Now, if you're going to drop the inflation estimates, you're going to drop the GDP estimates because Q1 was a bad number on GDP, but Q2 was a great number on GDP, right? So Q1, horrible number. Q2 is going to be a great number. At the moment, let me go and tell you what exactly the Atlanta Fed is saying. Is going to be coming in somewhere around the 3%, 2.8 to 3% on the Atlanta Fed GDP, right? 3.5 as of now. So the latest estimate as of June 17th is a 3.5% on GDP for America for Q2. So you had a negative number in Q1. Now you're going to have a positive number, pretty highly positive number in Q2. What am I coming to? The fact that inflation being lower, GDP being higher, and employment not looking that grim but softening is enough reasons for the Fed to be dovish tonight to talk about cutting rates. The talk is not going to be about hiking rates. So it's going to be about cutting rates. It's about how soon and how much. The market's currently expecting 2 Fed rate cuts for the year. It might move to 3 after the speech. And usually he's at pretty bad timings about uh, being dovish. He's mostly been hawkish. Now, let me give you a caveat here. Most of the Fed governors that have been there in the last 12 months, whether it's Alan Greenspan, whether it's Bernanke, whether it's Yellen, all of them have been hawkish in the last 12 months of their tenure purely because they don't want to go in and do something crazy and then deal with it later on. So what they do is that they come out and be hawkish and they let the market adjust it and they let the successor decide whatever he wants to do. My bet is Powell still wants that soft landing. He's getting it. He wants to extend it. So he's going to cut rates to keep this thing going. The market might be thinking of 2 Fed rate cuts. I actually believe we might get 3. The summary of economic projections might come out and talk about 2 itself because eventually, remember, the summary is all the Fed governors voting together. It is not something where just Powell decides. But the speech and the answers to the Q&A is what Powell says. So pretty much everybody knows it's going to be a no cut. Pretty much everybody knows that there is going to be an SEP, which is the Statement of Economic Projections, which we'll talk about live, which is again going to be talking about the three things that I've been saying, right? Inflation, GDP, employment, GDP, inflation. More importantly, what is going to be coming out of Powell's mouth is going to be whether he is continuing to be a hawk or be dovish. My bet, he's going to be dovish and market should rise possibly today. Again, don't trade based on what I do because I don't trade based on these things. So just watch it, enjoy it. We'll break it down live with you. So it'll be fun. Let's go see if there's anything that's happening with stocks. Bond yields are currently down. So the 10-year is at 4.36. It's great. Till the time the 10-year keeps falling, we're good. Let's see what else is going on. Any of these stocks, anything that's happening here. Yeah, so at the moment, I mean, it's pretty dead. Otherwise, there's not too much happening. I did see a firm being up about 2.45%. That's because Prudential decided to invest up to $3 billion via a new loan sale facility. So maybe that spikes once market opens. Keep on watch on Nvidia. It's still trying to break that 145, 146 level. If you're able to see Nvidia break that 145, 146 level, it would take the Nasdaq higher, surely, and the S&P as well. So what's more important is for the S&P to reclaim the 6,000 number. again, at this moment, the data is not really important. None of that is important. There's only two things that are important as of today. One is what's happening with Iran, Israel, and the second one that's happening is with uh, the entire issue with the FOMC, right? So let's see. I mean, pretty much should be fun. We've got 5 minutes till opening. So let me take what expect housing to slow down even further due to labor constraints thanks to immigration crackdowns. Possibly so, but I think that can be cured if the Fed does cut rates. So if the Fed is in a cutting mood in terms of at least 25 basis points for the next three meetings, excluding the June and the July meeting, even if he comes out and says that he's looking at cutting in the near future, he usually doesn't say that. He signals it in a different way that he's thinking of doing it. They telegraph, right? Remember, the Fed doesn't usually come in and cut overnight. But there's one thing that did happen, right? Nick Timiraos from Wall Street Journal, who's usually known to come out and give up a lot of the information beforehand, did come out and say that a 25 basis point is warranted. He's usually the Fed's mouthpiece unofficially. So maybe they're signaling that you might get a 25 basis point cut today. I still don't believe so. Because if that does happen, it would involve a lot of, it would basically make the market believe that Jerome Powell's caved into President Trump, right? So, and I don't think anyone wants to believe that. Neither does Powell want that to be seen. I don't know how much of that is actually going to play into his mindset, but who knows, right? We should be able to figure that out when we go live today, right? We're going to be able to know a lot from the statements as well as from the questions in the answer section. That should pretty much tell us a lot of what's happening. The link's in the chat, so you can just click on that and then get notified whenever we do go live. So yeah, I don't really think that housing is going to slow down even further. We're pretty much at the bare end of it. It takes a few good readings on housing, few good readings for the whole industry to turn. Especially when it comes to construction, a lot of it will turn as the interest rate thought process for Fed Reserve, all of the guys together at the Federal Reserve decide to move the number lower. Even 0.25. It's not the question of how much they cut. It's the question of are they going to continue to cut. The market doesn't care whether they're going to, because remember, no one's borrowing money based on the federal funds rate. You're borrowing based on the yield rate, right? So I guess based on that, I don't really see a reason why they don't cut, and I don't see a reason why people are not going to go back and buy uh, companies in terms of buying houses or any of that, or even commercial real estate. I think a lot of that is going to start picking up in the near future, and that could pretty much be a sign of more risk on sentiment in the market that comes in. Once you start seeing housing improve, you can necessarily start seeing things in the economy start improving as well. It's not so easy. It takes a lot of time. But remember, if housing in itself reverses to the upwards and starts ticking higher, even by a bit, remember, we're literally at the floor of the ocean right now when it comes to housing. It's like dead. The construction market is dead. The housing market is dead. And no one's reducing prices that much in order for it to even, let's say, even have some form of a dead cat bounce at the floor of the ocean. Can that change with a 25 basis point rate cut? No. But why will that change with a 25 basis point rate cut? Is because if the trajectory that Powell says is that we're looking at making more cuts, that's enough, right? Let me just go over this. Let me see what else is he saying. Our boys got pocket money, Prudential, Unit Lens, 500 million in private credit. I think it's 500 that they're ready to purchase of Affirm loans at any time, but they have launched a revolving loan sale facility to invest up to 3 billion for 3 years. So that's about a billion a year and 500 million at any point of time. So I think they also had a $500 million loan by last December. So they're basically doubling down. That's what's happening. So that's always good to see, because remember one thing, even without any of your delinquency data coming out, when companies on the back end start doing these kind of deals, the delinquency data is not getting worse. Remember, Prudential and all of these guys have a lot of data, right? They always know what's going on when it comes to insurance and when it comes to delinquency rates. So they wouldn't be giving up $3 billion of their money over the next 3 years if the delinquency rates were not improving. Let me get to Sean's question in a bit. Let me just see what's happening with the market. We should be opening in about 5 minutes, 50 points up on the Nasdaq. So at least we're not in the red, right? At the moment, that is some saving grace. Yeah. So about okay. So pretty much opened and fell lower. That's the current thing. Still 28 points up. The volatility index is down by 3%. Most stocks are in the red. Yeah. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. So let's see what happens. I'm still looking at some of these plays like Starbucks and all of them to see what exactly happens with them. Still trading at about 91.73. It could go back into the triple digits if you start seeing the markets recover. Anyways, so the Dow is up about a single point. The S&P is up about 3. So yeah, it's as of now it's a pretty lackluster open, and it should stay that way, barring any tweets that come out from anywhere. We have some kind of Israel-Iran nonsense going on with Trump talking about some unconditional surrender, which the other guy is saying he'll never do. All of this other stuff that's going on. If that's the talk of town, then it's not really going to get too far. But keep a watch on oil. I've been saying this for the past few days. Since last Friday, remember, markets are going to have an inverse correlation with oil, right? So if oil keeps heading higher, you will start seeing in equity markets at some stage selling off. Mm, let's see what's up with some of these companies. Anything crazy that's been going? Anything on the Nasdaq? It should be a dull day all the way up till Marvell is up about 6.7%. That's because they teamed up with Empower Semiconductor to develop integrated power delivery solutions. Okay, so they're getting deeper into the AI business, right? Netflix is up about 1.2%. That's because they've also signed up with uh, French linear TV. So basically, a lot of your linear TV shows, broadband shows on in France are going to be coming on Netflix now. So eventually, they're eating broadcasting lunch. That's what's happening at the moment. So Netflix is up there. Let's see what else is happening here. Yeah, so we're just barely up about 15, 16 points. I believe we're just going to be playing in a range if we don't sell off. And this story might just continue for a while from now, up until the FOMC comes in. Maybe we could go into the red and head lower as well, because I mean, it's not that much. So it's not really, at least till FOMC, there's not going to be that much fun going on, in all seriousness. Anyways, OpenAI starts selling Chat GPT at a discount. Okay, wait. What do they mean by Chat GPT at a discount? What discount is it going at? Mm, really? I don't know they had a discount, but okay, maybe they do now. I don't know they are. I'm paying the full bloody price, so no clue. Anyways, it does a lot for me, so I'm okay with it. And that's kind of expected. So that's going to be affecting Microsoft. So yeah, so the Nasdaq is in the red now. So that's that. Anyways, let me go ahead and just check what's happening with crude. So pretty much I should be seeing, yeah, so oil's at days high, right? That's what I've been saying, that if you do see the market going lower, you would see oil going high. Oil's pretty much hitting 74, so it's breaking above yesterday's high. Never a good sign, right? So let's see what happens. Nat gas is up 3% as well. A lot of it has just got to do with what's going to happen with the Israel-Iran war situation and what's going to happen with any of these issues when it comes to the FOMC. Federal Reserve widely expected to hold rates steady in the range of 4.25 to 4.5 for the fourth meeting in a row this afternoon. Okay, we know that. Okay, great. So maybe this is why oil's been spiking. Israel says the Air Force has destroyed Iranian Internal Security Agency headquarters. I don't know what's their final game here. I have zero clue what's going on here, but it's not going to be good for stocks if this stuff keeps going on again and again. So either they got to put a pin to it or they got to finish it soon. The longer you keep the uncertainty, it'll get worse. Remember, this is what's happened even. Let me give you a brief on this, right? A lot of people did believe that, okay, if a war happens, what's going to happen and all of that. This is what happens when invasions or wars are happening. This is what happened in the Kuwait wars, the Saddam Hussein, the Iraq war, all of the same, it's the same war. In March, somewhere around that period, the market started falling about 10% because you started seeing this whole oil price spiking. But do you know what happened when the invasion happened? When the invasion happened, the market made a low on that period within that week. The S&P was up 15% since the invasion began in March till when the invasion ended in May. So for a matter of April, May, 2 months, it pretty much ended. You know why the markets go up is because there's less uncertainty. The certainty is that, okay, now we're at war. How fast can we finish this? What it looked would take time started taking less time and eventually ended up with an American victory in that place. At least the war ended. I wouldn't say it's a victory irrespective of whatever it was. But it ended at whatever it did quickly, which eventually led to the markets being up 15%. And from the day the invasion began, a year later, the market was up 26% on the S&P 500. So not all invasions, not all assassinations, not all wars are correlated to bear markets. What is a war that is correlated to a bear market is World War III. Now, if we do get into that, we have bigger fish to fry. Forget about YouTube, forget about investing, right? At least for the moment. If you even have those capitalistic mindsets in World War III, because it's going to be nuclear and we're all going to be dust. So don't worry about that. Anyways, let me see. Sean says, do you think Iran would stop trade at Hormuz? That's a tough one, man. My opinion, right? I think they might cause some form of disturbances just so that they're given importance for what they're saying. But I don't think they would shut it down completely because that's going to be, see, they're going to lose the entire world's narrative of support for them, whatever little they have, purely because them shutting down the Strait of Hormuz means global trade comes pretty much to a halt or slows down. No one's going to like that. No one's going to support them. Everyone's going to tell them bomb the living daylights of this country and finish it off. Right? I'm sorry, I'm being immoral here, but if you're going to stop global trade, no one's going to protect you. Right? It's the way the world works. So that's not going to happen according to me. I don't think he's going to be seeing the Strait of Hormuz being shut down. Yes, then again, if you do kill the supreme leader and Ayatollah does get killed, then everything's on the table, right? But as of now, my bet is Strait of Hormuz being shut down is not really on the table. They lose all their bets if the Strait of Hormuz closes. The Strait of Hormuz by itself is by far the most important trading bridge between Asia and Europe. So they have to keep that open. Them shutting that down, and to a certain extent, remember, vessel prices, freight, containers, all of this has already started spiking in prices because a lot of them don't even want to send their ships from there. So it is picking up in price. So does it have an inflationary impact to a certain extent? Yes. Which is why I'm saying the concept is that you need quick resolution. If that is war and 1 week, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, or if it's bombing, bunker bombs, or whatever the hell, 30,000 megatons, or whatever the bomb is called on the B-52 that they can kill it with. If from a capitalistic standpoint, if that is the aim, finish it off soon. The market will rally if you can put an end to it. If you drag this on for months together, this is not a Israel Gaza type thing. The only reason the market didn't get affected that much by Gaza is because Gaza was not producing anything for the world, neither was it stopping trade. When it comes to Israel, it's a very different story. When it comes to Iran, it's a very different story when both of them are fighting because of exactly the same reason, the Strait of Hormuz. That shutting down Iran loses all the cards they had on their table. No one's going to support them for that. It's pretty much the end of days for Iran then. But who knows, right? I mean, if you really want to see the world burn, then you want to see it burn. I guess that's what it is. Let's see what happens. Anyway, so OpenAI started offering 10 to 20% discounts on ChatGPT Enterprise for customers bundling other products. It's projecting nearly 15 billion in annual revenue. Wow, from its business-focused ChatGPT offerings by 2030. Wait, let me go ahead and see if I can do this. This might actually be fun. So let me try seeing. We finished the poll. I shut the poll down. 60% of the people are going to buy the dip. So yeah, this I'm going to try putting another one. Let me see if how many people. I would actually want to know this because this is something that I'm going to figure out whether AI is in a bubble or entering a bubble, or do we still have time? Okay, let's see. Yes and no. So go ahead, answer that poll. I want to know, what do you guys think about this? I'm guessing a lot more people would say no than yes, but you never know. Sometimes answers can fascinate you. What are we at the Nasdaq? About 23 points up on the Nasdaq. S&P is up about 4 points. I truly do believe that the S&P might take back 6,000. But again, right? I mean, a lot of that depends on what the dude says out there in Washington and what's going to happen there. Let's see. Let me see. So, what else is currently going on? And the market also might just stay a lot more, not dead necessarily, but volatile. At least till we do get out of choppy waters, till Daddy Powell comes in and talks about something. That could be something that happens. Okay, let's go over some of those stocks. So Affirm's up about 1%, 1.75. Lemonade's up about 1.5. Oh, so Reddit's up about 3.5%. But look at it from this aspect, it fell about 8% from the top yesterday. So it's trying to recover what it lost. If we're able to take out the 146 levels, that would actually be pretty fascinating if that happened. Remember, yesterday we went all the way up to 146, flashed down all the way to 136. $10 fall on Reddit, right? Again, the market did fall 1% because we needed the unconditional surrender to so that life can go on Earth. 4.25 there. If you do actually do see some form of a nuclear deal, or you see the guy getting blown into pieces, my bet is you might see a 2% rally. Against most people's wishes, you're going to see a 2% rally if that happens, just because uncertainty is out of the way. A lot of people are not going to believe what I'm saying, but this is my bet. This is how traders think. This is how fund managers think. This is how a lot of big money thinks. Uncertainty versus certainty. Bomb the living daylight, story's over, move on with life, and see me in chat, or you can't. I think you should be able to see me now. I think there's some form of an internet outage that just came in. Just drop into the chat and say if you can see me, or if you can't here. I think we should be fine. Okay. Anyway, so let me just kill the chase about the Chinese AI. I believe the Chinese AI story is just going to turn around exactly like how the current Google, Microsoft, Netflix story has happened in China. You're going to see all of these people build their own stuff in China, and China is going to have its small little AI economy. None of us, including me, none of my friends, none of the people that I know of is going to be using. We're going to use DeepSeek or any of that thing through American intermediaries. None of us are downloading Chinese AI companies' softwares and using them. Not going to happen. Okay. So that's the reason why I do believe that still possibly OpenAI could be the largest company in the world. OpenAI could also come into, I don't know if it will be the largest company by 2030, but OpenAI could be pretty powerful by then. They could be a 2 trillion, $3 trillion company, right? If you look at it, they're saying 15 billion through business customers, maybe 5 to 10 billion from normal customers, normal paying $20 customers like any of us. That puts us together of near, let's say, about 30 billion in revenue. Now they're currently at a $300 billion valuation. So $300 billion valuation at the moment, with growth all the way till 2030, you could see them at a trillion and a half, right? May not be the largest company in the world, but if they're able to start taking market share when it comes to defense contracts, any of the other companies, Palantir's market share to a certain extent, very tough though, very, very tough. But you know what? It's not something that you should write off. It could very well be there for a very long period of time, right? So Marvell now projects 18 billion from AI alone by 2028, up sharply as custom XPU demand grows. Morgan Stanley sees $7 to $8 EPS versus current $5. I mean, guys, the AI story is just going to power us higher and higher. Then again, do we have the madness of crowds that affect us when it comes to all of these war scenarios that we're in, right? So let's see. 21,765 on the Nasdaq at the moment, 50 points up. The Dow's up about 70, S&P is up about 11. I think it's going to, the S&P is almost at day's high, so it's going to go all the way to 6,000. We're going to dilly dally till FOMC. You guys should see a link in the comments. That's the FOMC link when I go live for the FOMC. The rate cut decision comes at 2. I mean, there is going to be either a rate cut or no rate cut, but whatever it is, the decision is going to come in at 2. And at 2:30, you're going to be seeing the speech come in. So I'll come in live at about 1:45, 1:50. We can talk on what's happening to the market. We can see what's happening with the rate cut as well, or not a rate cut. We'll talk about that with a few of your questions as well that we can bring in. And then we can move into Jerome Powell's speech. I'll break it down bit by bit while he's talking. I don't like doing the after talk and then all of that. Maybe we'll do post market. But tomorrow's off. So we won't be going live pre-market, post-market, anything tomorrow, unless we have an Iran-Israel issue. Then I'm going to be ready any which ways. But irrespective of that, I just want to give you a heads up. You see the link there, click on that, notify yourself, subscribe, so you guys can then come in live. In about 4 hours now, 4 hours and 10 minutes, you should be getting Daddy Powell deciding on our futures. Whether we can buy homes, whether we can get loans, or whether we can't. Anyways, Sean just messaged me and told me that look at Reddit. Reddit's up about 6.34%. We've been talking about it since the previous lives. I actually do believe that it can, if it can take out 146, 147, 150 levels, it's going a lot higher. 200, 230 can come back because Reddit's now playing on the AI craze, right? Especially with the new marketing tools. Yesterday, we were talking to Wage Freedom as well about it. And he was saying that quite possible that marketers would spend some bit of their budgeting into Reddit, considering that they've been looking into doing new form advertising. And they're allowing a lot of the marketers to basically get a lot more analytics, right? And who doesn't love analytics? Anyway, so at the moment, yeah, so we're about 3 points away on the S&P to hit 6,000. So let's see what happens. 21,780 on the Nasdaq's, 5996 on the S&P 500. Let me see what's happening. Oh, okay, we got more smarter people than I would. In Tehran, Iranians are bracing for what's next in an unpredictable war. Some shit happened right now. I remember reading it. I forgot to tell you. Iran's location of near bomb grade uranium is unclear, says Watchdog. That is ironic that the Watchdog doesn't know where the location is, but anyways. Anyway, so usually the market's been flat. You usually see the market's heading higher towards the meeting, and post the meeting, the market collapses. That's usually what's been happening. So let's see. Maybe this time's different. No more talks about any of those hikings, right? No more talks. Maybe he's going to be dovish. Who knows, right? Maybe he is. We're about a point away, or maybe 1.5 point away from the 6,000 on the S&P. If we see 6,000, I'll just end the call just because for shits and giggles. So, and then we'll start again when Fed comes in. 7.3 up on Nasdaq on Reddit. 7.3 up on Nasdaq would be quite a day. That would be a fun day. Okay. Nvidia is at 144.45, so that's also looking like it's breaking out. If it can take out the 145, 146 levels, that's the only way you're going to be seeing 150, 155 number on Nasdaq on Nvidia, and that's going to reverse back into a S&P 500 going to all-time highs and a Nasdaq going to all-time highs. Anyways, guys, we got 6,000 on the S&P, so it's fun talking to you guys. Join us in another 4 hours for the FOMC. It'll be fun. So we'll play it live so you guys can enjoy it as well. But it's going to be more reactionary. I don't want to keep listening to him talking all the time. So let me go ahead and end the poll. Most of you guys feel OpenAI is not going to kill it. Anyways, for all of you that's new here, go ahead, subscribe, and you should see the link in your comments pinned there. Click on that. You can join in for FOMC live when we go live. Let me see if I can get Sean in as well at that time. It'll be fun. Or maybe I'll just do it on my own. Anyways, guys, so enjoy yourselves, have fun. This one's been a little shorter because we're going to do it again in 4 hours. So that should be another hour to go. At least an hour, maybe more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But anyways, 2 o'clock. See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.